Hey guys, Mark here, and a couple days ago I made a video for level by level analysis episode 3 where we look at Dishonored level, specifically the Void level and the Hound's Pit Pop. So those are the two areas that I explore in the last episode of level by level analysis that I just released, which I take a look at the Void and kind of the nature of the Void, the thing that you are doing in the Void, and the tidbit of story that is being told through the Void, right? And we also explore a little bit about how Pit Pub, how that get you familiarized with the character in the game, get you to know Piero, the loyalist, and it's also a hub area for the game, and it's going to be an area that you may come back to later on in the game. So that's the general thing that I kind of explore throughout that episode. But something that I kind of gloss over is the supernatural ability in Dishonor, the outsider power. Outsider power is very interesting part of Dishonor, and there's multitude of different ability that you can get within that game. And one of the biggest ability that is the signature ability in Dishonor is Blnk. And this is something that I kind of glossed over when I made that episode. And it's not something I planned intentionally, but I just realized it after rewatching some of my content and start realizing, I could actually talk a lot more about how Blnk kind of play into Dishonor and how significant it really is. I talk a little bit about how they use Void to tutorialize player on how to use Blnk. But something I forget to mention is the way in which you use Blnk itself is quite actually fascinating. Recently I've been reading a book called Game Feel written by Swink, and he explored a little bit about how Game Feel work. And I think it's going to be interesting to actually look at Game Feel in terms of the design of Dishonored itself. So I thought today it would be interesting that I should have explored something that I forget to explore through the use of Game Feel design. So for those of you who don't know, Game Feel is a design philosophy that said the way in which you presented your mechanic and the gameplay have this certain feel to it, right? This is kind of abstract, but the book kind of go into detail and like mechanic and point out different scenario and different example of game that you can kind of tangibilize it. But the abstract idea is basically you feel when you play. The way in which you control a character within a virtual space create this motion that is the response of what you input through the control method, whether it's touch control, whether it's typical controller, whether it is motion controller, or even virtual reality. The way in which you control dictate the game feel. And the secret of making good game feel is all about reflecting the player with the output from the input that the player use. It's all about creating this good feeling that player have when they utilize different moveset or ability within the game. It basically just means that when you play the game, it feel authentic, it feel real, it feel like you can tangibilize the physics, even though all of it is done virtually. So games like Rocket League, when it have really interesting soccer mechanic and the way in which the ball move and the physics that it has, create those game feel for those games. While at the same time, games like Mario is all about running, jumping, and the combination of both of those with the different ability that Mario get throughout the game. Those are what create the game feel for Mario. Now if we look at Dishonor, the game feel in Dishonor is kind of simple. You want to be able to hack and slash, you want to be able to create different emergent gameplay, of course. But at the end of the day, the main design of the game is about being stealthily. You want to play a stealth game. The limitation of your character movement kind of dictate how you go about doing your stealth gameplay. And this is a major problem in many stealth games. Usually your character are moving slower than the enemy, or even sometimes moving in a position that is much more difficult than your enemy can. For example, games like Splinter Cell Conviction, you have to stay in the shadow. Sam Fisher doesn't move really fast when he crouch, for example. But then there's stealth games that kind of empower the player, like Batman Arkham City, where you can actually move way faster than the normal guy move. And that's all about empowering to stealth gameplay. But in Dishonor, it's still very much those traditional stealth games. It's still very much about testing your patience. It's about moving strategically. But the difference from every other game is the fact that you can move through the use of Blnk. And that's why this ability is so important and it's such a core design of the game. Because without Blnk, Dishonor would just be another stealth game with, of course, awesome emergent gameplay. But at the end of the day, it would just be a stealth game with a lot of cool ability with possibility of emergent gameplay. It's still not satisfying to move around. It's still not interesting to get from one point to another to take out your enemy. And Blnk allow you to do so many different things within the game that I actually feel quite guilty that I didn't explore it in the last episode. So today I want to dictate all my time on looking at Blnk. What is better way than to actually examining player actually interaction with Blnk for the first time? I mean, it would be so nice if we can get a video of player actually experiencing Dishonored for the first time and actually going through the level for the first time and using Blnk for the first time, and kind of how their brain kind of cope with that. And that is going to be the best way to reflect the game feel, right? Like to actually see a player going through the game, going to the tutorial area, going to the void area, right? And actually using Blnk for the first time and how he or she go about doing it, right? That should be interesting. If only we have that. Actually, we do. Let's play.
Oh, wait, no. Oh, that was a chest back there. Hang on, I gotta go back. Boop. Ah, crap! No!
So let's play something I don't usually talk about. For a while now I haven't put up Let's Play, and I have no plan to go back to Let's Play anytime soon. I actually enjoy making this type of content more, and I know some people are better at it than others, but yeah, not for me. But actually Let's Play provide you a lot of great resources for you to look at in terms of game designer. You can actually get to see player first time experience through your game, and I think this is an incredible resource that you can look at. So today I think it's going to be a great idea for us to just grab a bunch of Let's Player clips, right? Let's look at how they cope with Blnk for the first time when they actually get to use it within the game. I think that should be really interesting. I want to disclaim this early on though. All these Let's Players are awesome. I recommend that you go and check them out individually. I'm not stealing their content. I'm using it to illustrate my point. I hope they would understand that and wouldn't copyright take down my video. I try to use it as much as I can in terms of fair use, and I hope you guys understand that. So the Game Feel book dictates that in order for Game Feel to exist, there is really 3 factors that needed to be there. Now we know that game feel is this feeling we get when we play video game. You know, when we move a character in a virtual space through the input that we put in, right? The output that is the result, which show us that our character in a virtual space moving, is what create those game feeling moment, right? It's what create those sensation, those feeling that we have when we play through the game. All of those, of course, is really just an illusion, right? Because it's all just our input, and the output that is response that show a character or an avatar that our player control within the game in a virtual space, of course. So if there is no output, right? Let's imagine, for example, if the only output is your monitor, right? If you turn off your monitor, you still can input in, but there would be no output, and there would be no game feel, of course. So it's actually quite simple to have a good game feel. The book dictated they need to have 3 factors. The first being real-time control. They need to be a real-time control. There is cases where there's turn-based gameplay, where, you know, games like Civilization, for example, is a turn-based game. But there is some game feel within Civilization as well. The way you move around in the UI, when you click, and the expectation that you have, and the whole feel of the game is also exists. And this is something the book explores as well. The book said that while it's true that real-time feedback is not always the most important thing, it is such a big part of game feel. So for a game with real-time feedback and gameplay, those games are going to be influenced way more with game feel design, right? So real-time control and real-time feedback are really important, and if you have that within your game, in most action games they have that, in most platformer games you have that. If that's the case, then this is really important. Game feel is really important. The next is you need a virtual space. You need to have a space where your avatar kind of move around in. If there is no space, then there's no point. There's no game feel there, because then you'll be still playing a game, but if there is no virtual space for your character to move around, there is no feeling that you get from moving your characters around, of course. So the space there is important. And the way in which you do that can be really interesting as well. If a game doesn't have a flaw, for example, imagine a game when you render it, right? You need to have a floor and a roof, right? And the book kind of gives this example, and they have a playable example on their website as well, which I'm gonna link down below. If you play that playable example, it basically let you click F1 or F2, something like that, and it would turn off the floor, right? And the material around you. So you can really feel that when there's no material around, no floor around, you kind of walk around but like you're not sure that you're moving in the right direction. You're not sure that you're even moving at all, because those sensations are not there because there is no virtual space to speak of. But then if you see a tree here, you see an object here, you see a floor, right? Now there is virtual space that you can move around. Now there is this sensation that there is a game feel going on. There is the sensation of physics, the sensation of your character moving about in the game. And those sensations are really important in game feel. So, okay, we have real-time control with real-time feedback. We need virtual space. The third one is polish. And this is something a little bit more abstract in my opinion. The way in which you polish your game and polish those game feel is going to be important, of course. The more polish you have, the better it is, right? And the polish in this context, for those who are not in gaming field, they might not be familiar with that. It is used a lot in gaming to describe, when a game is polished. It basically just means a game is being worked on and on to make sure that those game feel moment, or even the overall gameplay experience as a whole, right, is being polished, being taken care of. So polishness is also a big part of game feel as well. So real-time control with real-time feedback, virtual space, and polish. Those three are what dictate game feel within a game. So let's go back to what we're trying to talk about. Let's go and look at these let's player and see if they experience these three factors when they use Blnk within Dishonored. Let's see if Blnk succeed in terms of creating good game feel to these players who are playing the game for the first time, and they get to familiarize with the mechanic for the first time. So in order to find out whether Dishonored work in terms of using Blnk as its game feel, I want to examine 4 different YouTubers, and I have a list of 4 YouTubers that I think would have some gameplay and let's play moment that kind of illustrate some of my point here. I try to pick from multiple and variety type of YouTubers. Some of them are older YouTubers, some of them are much more newer YouTubers. Some of them played the game originally when it came out, some of them just played now, and they also have different way of playing and approaching the game, and some of them have some funny moments, some of them have some interesting and thought-provoking moment that we might actually examining into. So I try to pick from a variety of YouTuber, and it's not the most random thing in the world. It's not the most statistically random thing that you're gonna get through statistic randomness when you go to random number generator and stuff like that. There is some level of biasness that came from me in terms of some of them are really convenient. When I search Dishonored Let's Play, some of them show up. Some of them I know about before, and some of them I think have some gameplay moment that I think would be good in terms of illustrating some of my point. So not the most random thing in the world, and if your favorite list player didn't show up, it's not because they're bad or their gameplay doesn't illustrate my point or it's not good or anything. It's just, I find these 4, it's convenient for me and it makes sense to use these 4. And I want to also reiterate that I'm not trying to steal their content from them. I also go out of my way to cut out some of the funny parts so you can go to their channel and check it out by yourself. I'm not trying to steal their entertainment value and stuff like that. I'm also only using this video in terms of analysis purposes to create this kind of semi-educational entertainment video that I usually do, and it's usually just to kind of illustrate some of my point and help the analysis method. It really just 4 gameplay from 4 different people that I think is useful because they all are experiencing the game for the first time and they react in different way, and that kind of show the game feel element of the game. So does Blnk succeed in creating good game feel? Let's take a look. I'm gonna start with ChristopherOdd. His YouTuber name is ChristopherOdd. You should go check it out and check all these guys out.
Oh, shit. Oh, finally. Yeah, okay. Press LT to execute a fast and stealthy forward dash through the world. You can also use it to move upward, but the distance is reduced. Aiming at ledges will allow you to blink forward and climb up. Hold LT to target your destination with precision. A blue sphere indicates that you should reach your destination. A blue arrow indicates you will climb up when you reach your destination.
So he go for the first Blnk, and he was like hold L3 and that's kind of the instruction is. So he hold L3 and he was like, oh, it's actually kind of hard to see.
Hold LT. It's hard to see, like, oh, here we go.
And so he kind of moved around a little bit, and after he kind of moved around a little bit, he started realizing, oh, okay, here we go. Like, he started realizing that the cursor kind of point to where he want to be, and he also say, oh, you can't really go very far.
Can't really go very far, but that's awesome.
And this is all about kind of spatial awareness that he become aware of when he tried to use Blnk. You know, the way in which the cursor kind of point to where he want to be, give him the spatial awareness, you know, make him realize that, okay, so this is how Blnk kind of work. And when he move around to find the right angle to blink to, that kind of show the spatial awareness there, and it show that there is a spatial simulation within Dishonored, and that the virtual space here is done correctly and with conjunction with Blnk ability, right? It really show that when you come to understand Blnk spatial awareness, it really kind of work and it click within people's head. And that's the most important part of game feel, is that it has to click with player, it has to create those feel, right? And I think this show that the game kind of succeed with that.
Pure spiritual remedy. Drink a mana potion.
Then he collect the mana motion, he opened the menu a little bit and tried to look around, and he assigned Blnk as his abilities. And then he go to the next point and he's like, oh, I can't reach this part. This is one where the gap is actually kind of bigger. And he's like, oh, okay, I can't move, I can't go there. Is there something wrong?
Oh, that's a super time. Oh man, is this ever trippy? Okay, so I can't reach there. What is that? What do I do?
And he judged that based on the cursor again, showing how polished the Blnk ability is, because the way in which the visual is shown, right, is so polished to the point that if you look far enough where the cursor kind of pointed, and you would realize that if you make that Blnk, you're gonna fail to your death. And he realized that very quickly. He's like, I can't make that, I'm not gonna make that Blnk. So he undo the Blnk, he move around a little bit, get a better angle, and he's like, oh, okay, now there we go, we can do it. He realized that he can actually make the jump.
What is that? What do I do? Oh, there we go.
And then he also go back to the menu a little bit, try to figure out, can I re-equip my weapon? What is going on? Because he's in the void area and he's not aware that you can't use the weapon yet within the void area, and show that he kind of try to think about that.
Now, how do you switch to regular weapons again? I wonder if it'll teach me that. I was thinking about getting this game. I didn't think it was going to be this detailed.
And he go to the area. This was the area that teach you about the ledge climbing mechanics. So if you point the Blnk cursor on the ledge area, Corvo basically gonna climb that. And he's like, okay, turn your arrow on the ledge. And after he read that, he quickly realized that he can do that. So he kind of move the cursor around a little bit, and when it doesn't point to the ledge, it just kind of go off, and it's hard to see where it's going. But when it's on a ledge, of course, it would show a upper arrow, which kind of indicate to the player that Corvo gonna climb it if you point the cursor on the ledge.
To use Blnk to climb, aim the power at the ledge of the roof. Oh, that's interesting. It turns into like little arrows once you're on a ledge. That's cool.
It's something that he realized really quickly, and it's also him kind of experimenting with that. He kind of tried to figure out how it works. So it's already kind of showed the 2 point of game feel already with ChristopherOdd gameplay. Let's go to other YouTubers and see kind of how they react, and whether we can find the real-time control aspect of the Blnk ability. So now we move to Cryoatic. So Cryoatic is also a great YouTuber. You should go check him out. You should check all this guy out. I'm gonna keep saying that.
You made me into a wizard. I am a mage now because I can blink. Press right click to execute a fast, stealthy dash forward through the world. Hold that to target my destination. Okay.
And he does something kind of funny when he use Blnk. Every time he's gonna be like, gotcha, I like this, hello, and it's like, it's all about the excitement, right?
Oh dear, alright. Okay. Gotcha. I like this. Hello?
And this kind of shows the real-time control and feedback that Blnk kind of give you. If you're playing on a controller, I'm quite sure that it also give you a feedback in terms of vibration as well, and that all just about to create these real-time feedback to the player to make them kind of feel satisfied to use Blnk to move around. And I think it succeeds with that because, you know, when Cryoatic kind of use it, and he's very much he's not the overreactive best player. He's one of those who are like really calm with a really calm voice, right? And so to see him kind of get a little bit excited about using Blnk, I think it's interesting, and it kind of showed the real-time control aspect of it. And then he aimed on the ledge, and he was like, oh, I figured that out really quickly. He aimed on the ledge. He used that to jump around. He's like, okay, that worked.
Aim with the edge of a roof. Oh, okay.
And then he does something that no one else does, and even I didn't know this. You can do this. So he jumped on a staircase going down. Usually you would go down the staircase, you would Blnk across, right? What he do is he jump on top of the staircase and Blnk down.
I can handle this. No, I want to get blood. Oh. And go. Hell yeah. Shortcuts.
So this clearly shows that he understands the ability completely now, and he's willing to do something quite advanced and different for most players, right? Which is to use Blnk in his own term to create this emergent gameplay that the developer didn't design themselves. So he take this small little shortcut around the staircase, which most people are gonna go down the staircase and Blnk across. So Cryoatic understand that, and it really shows that he understands this. He is aware about the spatial awareness. He understands the polish aspect of it because he knows the distance that he is going to make, and he's obviously excited about using Blnk, and so he understands the real-time control aspect of it. So Cryoatic kind of showed all those really well. Then the next one we go to DSP Gaming. So DSP Gaming is also a great YouTuber. You should check it out. I'm gonna keep saying this.
Press left trigger to execute a fast and stealthy forward dash through the world. You can also use it to move upward, but the distance is reduced. Aiming at ledges will allow you to Blnk forward and climb up. Hold left trigger to target your destination with precision. A blue sphere indicates you should reach your destination. A blue arrow indicates that you will climb up when you reach your destination.
And after his first Blnk, he was like, whoa, okay. So like a lot of YouTubers, a lot of Let's Players, they react when they first use Blnk for the first time. Of course, it's a teleportation ability.
Wow.
There's very few games that have this type of teleportation ability, so it's understandable that they would react to it. And he then kind of learned a little bit about the weapon view and the mana potion as well. He realized that if you press X on the Xbox controller, it would use the mana potion.
Ah. There's a mana potion. See, X? Okay. So now I'm getting special abilities. I see. I see, he uses mana. Aha.
And he was like, Suya! And he was making this sound very similar to Cryoatic, right, when he played. And it's, again, show the feedback loop of the game, that the real-time feedback kind of kick you in, and you're like, okay, this is satisfying, this is engaging.
So we are!
And he fell to his death. He's the first to do that out of all the first three people we're looking at. And he go back, and he went back to that same position really quickly, try to make that Blnk again.
First let me save, because I haven't saved in quite a while, but what am I supposed to do here? Can't seem to reach it.
And he saved before he do it, which is kind of funny, and it's something to actually think about as well, because in Dishonored there's a lot of experimentation that you can make, and when you're not sure, I think the best thing to do is actually to save, and that's something DSP Gaming chooses to do. So it's actually kind of interesting that he does to decide to do that. It showed that in video game, you're only going to get better at it. So if you save before you make a mistake, you can kind of go back and redo stuff, right? He kind of used save mechanic to benefit his learning process in terms terms of using Blink. And then he realized that he can jump and use Blink in conjunction together, which no one else used at all. All of the 4 people I look at, other people can make the Blink without jumping, but he thought that he couldn't make the gap, and it would be better if he jumped.
There we go, I had to jump and do it.
And it's absolutely true. If you jump in Dishonored ahead a little bit and use Blink in conjunction with one another, you can actually go into quite a long distance, and that's exactly what DSP does. And he understands that really quickly, and he combines this ability really quickly, which is interesting to note because I heard Howie Smith say during the development of Dishonored, when they first implement Blink, they didn't actually account for player using jump and Blink at the same time. So actually, when they originally designed it way early on, right? So this is way early on, early testing stuff. They didn't account for it. So it's actually kind of funny that DSP, that's one of the first few things he tried. But you know, it's kind of funny that even the designer themselves, the lead designer, when they originally first designed the game, they didn't account for player doing this stuff. But then here it is, the player, one of the first few blinks that they does, they are using that ability in that way already. It's some small stuff like this that always make it interesting in terms of game design. You know, like developer can account for 100 different things, and player gonna find that 101st thing to put everything in chaos mode, right?
Whoa.
And he get the page edge part right away, like the whole blink to the edge to climb up, because he was reading the tutorial before.
Aim the flower at the edge of a roof, ledge, or other high surface. There we go.
And yeah, he went through the area quite cleanly after the first death, and he realized from his mistake, and he's not afraid to experiment with it. So it's actually kind of interesting. Then the last one is Markiplier.
Press right mouse to execute a fast and stealthy forward dash through the world. You can use it to move upward, but the distance is reduced. Aiming at ledges will allow you to blink forward and climb up. Alright, so. Blink! Ooh.
He make weird sound effect every time he blink. And it kind of, again, can talk about the real-time feedback of the game, the real-time control that it gives to the player, the sensation, right? And I think that kind of show really well that every time he uses it, he actually feel like he's actually blinking. So that's why he kind of make those sound effects, and it obviously adds some comedic value to his Let's Play as well. So maybe some of those are exaggeration. And he then find a chest with a potion, and he realized that there's a chest that he missed. So he decided to go back.
Everything just looks so colorful and lifelike. Oh wait, no! Oh, that was a chest back there. Hang on, I gotta go back. Boop! Ah, crap! No! Oops.
Which is kind of funny. He died with a really over-exaggerated death sound, and he come back and he utilized the edge climb mechanic right away. Even when the game didn't teach him about it, he kind of tried to go back, and when trying to go back, it's actually kind of harder because the level is designed in such a way that you are going downward, right? So blinking down is easier than blinking up.
Okay, there we go. No need to panic.
Going back is more difficult because the level is designed in such a way that you are going down, so it's easier to use Blink, right? Because this is tutorial area for Blink. So when he tried to go back up, it's actually a little bit more difficult because you're going up and using Blink is more difficult. For those who have played the game, you probably know about it. And he had to realize right away that you have to aim at the ledge in order to climb up and kind of go backwards.
Screaming at me that... Shit, I was... Yeah, okay.
And he kind of succeeded with that, going back. However, the chest was the mana potion.
Alright, there was a chest here that I did not open. Ah, wait, no, that's it? Oh, that's stupid.
It wasn't too useful for him, and he was actually a little bit disappointed about that. But you know, the chest is put there in case you run out of mana, so you can have mana and keep going forward, right? But you know, Markiplier didn't think that was the case. He saw a chest, he opened the chest, and he was like, "Did I just miss the chest?" He go back, get the chest, and like, "Oh wait, it's just a mana. I'm just wasting my time." But then he go back to the same position, and he start realizing how the potion system kind of work and the mana system kind of work. And how that when you use Blink, you are depleting your mana, but if you wait just enough, the mana kind of regenerate back to the same position.
Okay, so if you right click, it automatically takes a potion. And if you're patient, Your mana will rejuvenate to the point where you just spent it, but if you try to double use it, it won't rejuvenate as much. That's my understanding. And if I'm patient, and I get over here a bit of a challenge.
So yeah, to conclude, all 4 of them kind of illustrate some different points. Some of them illustrate more understanding than other, and some of them kind of prove game feel choice more than others. Someone like ChristopherOdd, he was reacting to everything. He was looking at the spatial awareness in terms of kind of virtual space within the game, and he also kind of look at the cursor, where the cursors are pointing at, and he's trying to judge whether he can make the blink. And you know, like someone like Markiplier might kind of go too fast and he failed to his death, and trying to go backward might not be the best idea. But you know, you can feel that he is satisfying every time he uses Blnk, and he make those sound effects which show that there is a significant feedback for him, that to make it feel that it is those game feel moment, right? Is that like you are feeling like you are the character, that and the controller kind of disappear, right? You know, you're not inputting something so you can have an output anymore. It's about you actually moving something. It's actually you controlling something, and those feeling and those game feel moment are great. And I think Markiplier illustrate that perfectly as well. And a lot of these guys kind of illustrate different point, and I think it is fair to prove that game feel exists within Dishonored. There is a special simulation, there is virtual space, there is real-time control. Of course, Dishonored is a first-person action stealth game. Of course, there is real-time control, and there's a lot of polishness, right? The ability for these guys to judge whether they can make these jump, and some of them kind of react, and after they fail, they learn from their mistake, that I could have done this better. It shows that there is a polish when it comes to Blnk, polish enough that it allows player to realize when they can make a jump and when they cannot. And I think that's the most important thing to do in a teleportation ability. If you want player to teleport, you better make sure that player know where they are going to teleport it to. And I think this proves that they do. It's interesting to explore game feel in general. I like game feel topics so much. After I read this book, I try to examining any game that I try to look at, and I think it's great opportunity that I actually kind of go back to this topic, because like I said, I did it in my level by level analysis, but I can gloss this over and I'm like, yeah, I can't sleep at night, right? Like, oh, how did I not mention about Blnk tutorial and how Blnk work within Dishonored and the significance it has to Dishonored. So I try to make this episode, think of it as like level by level analysis episode 3.5, right? That's how I kind of think about it. So in the meantime, while you're waiting for episode 4, this is kind of like something in between, kind of to tell you, okay, Blnk is such an interesting ability if you look at it through game feel mechanic and you try to examining it through let's play, or even yourself, if you have never played the game before, try and go and play it. And if you haven't played it for a very long time, maybe you might forget about some of these stuff, probably not after you watch my video, but if you know someone who don't know about it, try to let them play it, try to see them, how they react to it, how they use Blnk in different way than you might go about doing it. And I think it's interesting, the game feel philosophy and Blnk as an ability within Dishonored, and how different player utilize it and how different player reacted to it. Hope that is useful to you in some way. Hope you find it interesting. I definitely do. I find it so interesting enough that I go through all these let's play and try to analyze their small gameplay, and for them these stuff go through their head in like second, right? Like if you go and ask Markiplier, what do you think about when you did this, he would be like, what are they talking about? I don't remember about any of this at all, right? He probably don't know what Dishonored is. He was like, oh, that one game I played that one time, right? And so, you know, like, I don't expect all these people to memorize it. Even I don't remember what is my first time being like, but this is recorded, right? So all these stuff are stuff that game designer can go and look at, right? And I think those are valuable, right? Because when you go back and you look at it, these stuff still exist, these stuff still have value, and if you analyze it enough, you can kind of understand the philosophy and the mindset that go into player and how that create game feel within a game, how you can create those awesome feeling when you play the game and awesome and satisfying moment within game. So yeah, hope that's useful. If you like the video, leave a like. If you want to see more of this type of pseudo analysis, pseudo entertainment content, subscribe for more. See you guys next time. Bye bye. Peace.